Shakespeare died mysteriously and left his wife a bed in his will. William Shakespeare is an enigma. We still know very little about him. For example, no one really knows how he died, yet he was already super famous. Legend says the bard died of a hangover, but how is it possible? William Shakespeare died on April 23, 1616. The Hanover legend comes from John Ward's diary. Ward was the vicar of Stratford-upon-Avon. He wrote,
Shakespeare, Drayton, and Ben Jonson had a merry meeting, and it seems drank too hard, for Shakespeare died of a fever there contracted.
Ward's version was written 50 years after Shakespeare's death. Today, all scholars agree it was just gossip. Yet they hesitate to say what exactly he died of. Weeks before it happened, Shakespeare wrote a will. His wife, Anne Hathaway, received his second-best bed. The bard left most of his estate to his daughter. She also got the best bed. At least that's how the story is told. But it comes from a misunderstanding. Shakespeare couldn't have disinherited Hathaway. English dower law ensured she'd be taken care of. For the length of her life, she'd receive 1/3 of all income. It came from the couple's substantial properties. Shakespeare's daughter Susanna later sold some of his land rights, but they had to wait until 1624 when Anne died. Until then, Susanna controlled just 2/3 of those rights. To this legacy already settled in law, Shakespeare added a bed. In the wills of his time, beds appeared frequently. They were often pictured in loving detail. A best bed might have a full headboard and a mattress stuffed with feathers. The second bed would have a half headboard. The mattress was probably stuffed with phlox. Best and second best were common ways of identifying beds. Best beds were often reserved for guests. It could be that Shakespeare's second best bed was the marital bed. The will was updated in March 1616. This suggests that Shakespeare was ill. He was clearly making the final arrangements. But what was his illness? Shakespeare's era was rife with infectious diseases. Indeed, he lived through outbreaks of bubonic plague. In 1606, all theaters in London closed down. The bard was forced to self-isolate at home. He had no job and nothing to do. So he wrote King Lear, which premiered later that year. Macbeth may have also been written in quarantine, but Shakespeare did not contract the plague. There's a theory he succumbed to tertiary syphilis. The disease ran like wildfire through London. At that time, Surgeon William Klaus noted that there was an infinite multitude of patients. Ultimately, it's impossible to say what Shakespeare died of. The bard was 52, which was typical for 17th century England. He had stopped writing 3 years before his death. This happened because of a special effects mishap. Dangerous special effects were common in that era. In 1613, Henry VIII was performed at the Globe. The play's opening was announced by cannon fire. The cannons fired a mix of gunpowder and wadding. The outer roofed area of the theater caught fire. The bard never wrote a play afterward.